I'm Lady D Denise Gomez, and I have exciting interview segments and features inside the zone. For recording artists, you can sing. Well, Inside the Zone, second Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. is for you. Writers, share your story, no man, in From the Author Zone on third Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Male Zone has unbelievably juicy stories of love, heartbreak, and triumph. 7 p.m. has never been this good. On Mondays, it's news, talk, engaging features at 7 in the Monday Drive. And Center Stage has everyone talking on Thursdays. Be a part of the show. Email me insidethezone@gmail.com or call me 914-304-2592. For 2 days, the 5 o'clock hour is hot on Fit FM 96.7, www.fitfmja.com. Your life, your music with Lady D Denise Gomez inside the zone. Catch me on Monday at 5 p.m. for the Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. And on Friday, yes, at 5 p.m. for Center Stage, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. From abroad to yard, Trelawney. Love, sacrifice, respect, commitment, divorce, and reconciliation are all a part of the Black love experience. This week, we focus on couples who have been married for many years, endured immeasurable challenges, and chose to stay committed to their vows and each other, while others throw in the towel at the drop of a hat. Join us as we discuss the Black love experience. Our guests are Dr. Donovan and Faith Thomas of Choose Life International. As Satideh morning runnings, come make we talk.
Well, hey, hi.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
It's another
Hey.
Saturday.
Look at two of my
Saturday,
favorite people.
I tell you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to
Hello.
Saturday Morning Runnings.
Hey,
Good
guys.
morning. Welcome to Saturday Morning Runnings, aired Saturday mornings at 10. Well, it's been a great week for a lot of reasons. And one, we're thankful that we are alive and well. Two, here we are today. So we can say God has been good to us.
Good.
To our viewers, I'd like to welcome you to the show. I hope this morning will be enlightening. It will be filled with a lot of laughter in between. As always, we do nothing less. And don't forget, those of you who are coming into the space, we invite you to share the link with someone you know, at least
Doing
5
that right now.
people. We're not asking you to do much more than that, at least 5. Invite them to come in and let them know, hey, this is the place to be on a Saturday morning. I'd like to welcome my crew. Good morning, Jackie. How are you?
Good. Hanging in there.
Okay. Yes, hold on tightly. Good morning, Sharns and Ralphie.
Good morning.
Couple. And to our guests, Dr. Donovan and Faith Thomas of Choose Life International. No stranger to the platform. We'd like to welcome
Hello.
you.
Welcome
Morning.
back.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Denise.
Yes. Thank you for being with us. This morning's topic, the Black love experience. We know that God's love is like way up here, so
Mhm.
And then we know that we fall under that umbrella. But at times, when the wind blows a little strong, it's either the umbrella fly up, so we're struggling to pull it down, the spokes break, something happens in the experience. And so we thought that it would be um, so prudent of us to invite Dr. Thomas and Sister Faith here. So they have their journey. Ralph and Sherns, you have your journey. Jackie, you have your journey. Unfortunately, Max will not be able to join us this morning. She has previous engagement, but this morning should be quite the run here on Saturday Morning Running. So we invite you to spread the love, share the link, and invite your friends and family to hop on over and enjoy the show with us this morning. In the promo, if you notice, it says that love, sacrifice, respect, commitment, divorce, and reconciliation are all a part of the Black love experience. And so I'll be asking you, each of you, to share your stories and, let us know the straight and narrow to walk, the things to do, the things that we ought not to do, how we hold the knit, knit and pearl. Anybody can do knitting. I can do knitting. I know
Oh,
that.
you tie
This
that knot and keep it
Ralph
knot.
can knit.
Right,
Oh, how
Ralph.
you keep the knot?
Right. So there is the knit and pearl. If the pearl off, then the knit can happen, whatever it is. So,
One
well,
meat, one pearl.
right. So, Dr. Donovan and Sister Faith, welcome. And, in a summary, tell us how you're doing.
Trying to navigate the snow.
Oh, dear.
Oh,
Yeah,
Well,
it's fun to feel curious about driving on the snow, experiencing American life, different from being just passing through as visitors that we have done for the last 30 years or so. Now,
Mhm.
sharing the space all year round and liking what we're seeing, trying to learn and grow as we share with you all right here in New York City. But we're doing good. 30
yeah.
next month we'll celebrate 38 years of marriage.
wow.
Lovely.
Awesome.
God is good. God is good.
That God is
He's
good.
there with
So
us.
we're looking to the 40.
Yeah, man.
Looking to the
Yes.
40.
I'll talk to you off air about that.
Okay. No problem. So Sharon's and Ralphie, how no doing? How the love blossoming over there? So?
It blossoming. It's staying steady.
So the umbrella fly up, but you pull it back down.
Yes, it fly up, it come down. One him hold one side, me hold the other side, but we make sure it stay.
It's
Yes.
like fire and cooling water. Balance.
Fire.
Yeah.
Sherns.
I don't know who the fire is. I'm not naming any name.
And I don't want to hear too much about that fire right now on air.
Oh,
See
The
there?
fire will melt the snow, man. The fire will melt the snow.
Don't worry, once you have the cooling water, everything is balanced.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
but
indeed.
I was just thinking, this Valentine's is our 45th Valentine's together.
Man.
oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
That is
Hello.
awesome.
yeah. Our first real date was Valentine's of what 90. All right, make we leave the year. But it was 40, it was 45 years ago.
Man, can you figure that?
Wow.
Sounds like
That
Yeah.
is
baby.
awesome.
I am Robbie Cradlin.
What's that? What's that?
I said that sounds like you're a little baby. Mine him rob the cradle.
No, no, he's not rabbit at all.
He was just on the brink of stepping over.
No. Alrighty.
Yeah,
So
but time flies.
time
Time
flies.
does fly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'd like to welcome everyone to the show this morning. It's now 17 minutes after 10 o'clock, and we'd like to start the conversation. So Dr. Thomas and Sister Faith. Recently, I watched an 8 minute and about 17 seconds or so video of you. And I said to myself, oh my goodness, when we see couples, invariably do we see them um, in a space that is challenging because we are not a part of your experience on a personal level. But we realize that you have gone through quite a bit, but you are still together. And these things are not for the faint of heart. If I believe that if someone is easily triggered by things and they throw up their hands and they can't bother, this is not for me, me never know, say this may come into all kinds of stuff, then it's difficult to manage that. So share a little bit, and I'll be going around in the space so that everybody can share their experiences.
Where do we begin?
To tell the story.
Along our journey, there have been challenges. I think the major challenge was really during the time when I was diagnosed with major heart disease. And actually, my heart functioning was down to 28%. And I was described as a walking dead. I couldn't walk 10 minutes down the road.
Yes.
And come back. I remember on one occasion when they said, well, I should try and do some walking. I was walking down the road with Faith, and we had gone about less than 10 minutes, and I couldn't make it back home. I sat down. She went for the car and came back to pick me up. I was faced with death. I made sure I gave her permission to marry again. If I had died, I said to her, I want you to know it's okay for you to marry again, but not before 2 years. What to do if I didn't make it through that period there. I remember being in the hospital, and two of my very good friends were by my bedside. And I said to both of them, just in case I didn't make it, please support Faith with the boys as they pursue their careers. Just about completing his first degree, and I'd intended going on to medicine. One of them was just about finishing high school, wanted to go on to do medicine, and I said to the older one who was completing his first degree, a first degree can take you through life. Your brother needs at least a first degree, so if you need to go work, find a job and help to send him to school. I made sure that all the documents were up to date with Choose Life International, just in case I didn't make it. But while I was there feeling down and out and as if I wasn't going to make it, my wife said, God said our husband would not die, but live to declare the works of the Lord.
All right, there you go. She not name Faith for nothing, you know.
Right. Yes.
And prayer letters all over the place. People bounce them around. Some people are receiving the prayer letters 4 and 5 times. And we even prayer letters went as far as Ukraine and India.
Wow.
And people prayed and people prayed. And I was in a hospital in New York. In fact, I had come up to go to a particular hospital. And my sister said, who was a nurse, her husband is a doctor, said, you should do a second opinion. I went through my second opinion, and I was in the doctor's surgery, and I did this and put my hand over where I think and I just did this and squeezed it, and he said, are you in pain? And I said, slightly. And he said, you should go to emergency room. I kind of hesitated because we had heard about this doctor in Poconos, and I had gotten a check. A company in Jamaica heard that I was going to be doing heart surgery and gave me a check of $40,000 written out to the hospital to pay my hospital bills. $40,000 unsolicited.
Wow.
check.
My gosh.
That's amazing.
Yes.
But when we consulted, to cut a long story short, my condition was of such that my sister, who is a nurse, said, I am not even comfortable driving you from Manhattan to the Bronx.
Oh wow.
Bad state. So I went to emergency room, and they did all that they could. And of course, they admitted me. I was in the ward for 7 days. Not sure if I was waiting to live or I was waiting to die.
Mm.
Come with my results from Jamaica. One cardiologist saw me on the ward and said to me, "Oh, these results, you really need the surgery. But it seems as if you have excellent doctors in Jamaica. We're going to send you back home as soon as possible. You do the surgery in Jamaica."
Mm.
Because that is after she asked about my insurance, and I never had any. But the head of
Oh.
the department,
Yes.
if there is any problem, just ask for him. And when he came and he looked at my situation, he said, "We will give you this surgery. You
Mm-hmm.
so badly you should not leave." And cut a long story short again, 7 days I was waiting in the hospital. Not sure if I was waiting to live or I was waiting to
To
die.
die. Mm-hmm.
The weight was heavy on my shoulders. My wife came in one day and my back was against the wall. I was just so depressed. And then she sat
Mm.
and spoke to me. Tears ran down my cheeks. The following day was surgery. But guess what? Later that day, they were feeling depressed. Somebody sent me the words of the song that said, Jehovah Rapha, he's my healer. I
Yeah.
Mm.
over and over until I believed it. I wrote
Mm-hmm.
on my Facebook page that night, the same God who I've trusted as my personal Lord and Savior from age 11 is the same God I'm
Thank
trusting
God.
through this surgery.
Right.
Yeah.
And the eclipse took place. No longer was I seeing the size of the problem, but I was seeing the size of our God.
Amen.
Out of the hospital on the 20th of March, went back to the end of April. The doctor said, even the dead section of your heart came back to life.
Man.
Be.
Died. One day
That's
later,
wonderful.
Yeah.
the United
Yes.
Lord. Mm-hmm.
Glory,
the
Jesus.
United Nations declared March 20th International Day of Happiness.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
today, March 20th, International Day of Happiness. So we're doing some things on International Day of Happiness to celebrate.
Oh yes, you should.
Yes.
Definitely should.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Dr.
Yeah,
Thomas. Yes, Sister Faith.
Let me share my spin on it. So we started Choose Life International 2008, and we had both left our full-time jobs. And somewhere 2011, you know, I kept hearing like a voice saying to me, suppose your husband dead. And I started to rebuke this. I was
Yes.
taking authority and I was rebuking, and it just wouldn't go away. So I started to pray now and I said, God, what's happening here? And I came to a point where I said, okay, God, you know all things.
Mm-hmm.
And I put him on the altar. I said, you are in charge of our lives. You have brought us together. You are the one who caused us to leave our jobs. And here we are at the beginning of Choose Life International. And you know that Donovan is the one with all these visionary ideas and so on. You must know what you're doing.
Yes.
Put him on the altar. And I said, God, I am trusting you. You know best. So if you're going to take him, you must know. And I left him there.
Mm-hmm.
And in December, is when he was diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying, God, okay, what's going on here,
Yes.
And I said, well, I don't know what to do, but I'm trusting you. A pastor came by and he said, take authority over the spirit of heart disease and take authority over the spirit of death and all of that. And I was there doing that. But I felt that this battle was not mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, God, what's going on here? And that night when I lay down in my bed, I saw as it were written on my eyelids,
Mm.
Chronicles 20, verse 15, which says, you do not need to fight in this battle. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord with you, for the battle is the Lord's. And that's
Mm-hmm.
another scripture that said from I forget where it is right now, but it said the snare of the fowler is broken and we have escaped. Our help is in the name of the Lord. And to me, that was God saying to me, I have this under control and I'm going to take him through. And
Wow.
I mean, no matter what, I just held on to that. God is going to bring him through.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, every time we went back to the hospital, he got a worse report. Every single time.
Mm.
God, but God.
Amen. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for
Wow.
sharing that. And I spoke to a young, very briefly, someone I know well, a young woman last week. She recently met someone and she's, dating. And then she just stopped by me and said, "Oh, Lady D, I'm going to stop talking to him." I'm like, "What happened?" I was so shocked. And then when she told me, I realized we needed a follow up conversation. We have not been able to have that conversation yet. But the reason she gave, I thought, no, no, no. That really should not cause you to make such a decision in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the conversations we need to have from a pulpit, from any social platform, anything, just to say, hey, it dedication, commitment, your vows when you get to that stage of marriage, and starting married life, and just the covenant relationship. I think people need to be that needs to be mentioned more. You need to walk people through, because I don't think sometimes, especially with this generation, they jump ship easily for just about any or most things. They don't know how to be patient and so on and wait and go
Yeah.
through a process. If the thing is not black and white, they're not doing it.
Yeah.
So for many people, for richer or for poorer, it's in the vows to get you through the
Yes,
journey. And there are some
yes,
people who have deliberately eliminated that from the marriage vows
yes,
Oh
um,
yeah.
these days.
That
And
not
yes,
that non keep again.
yes, and and so we have to really just know what we are up to. It is not a business commitment, it is a covenant, it's an agreement, it's a lifetime agreement. And we have been through that. We have been through illness, we have been through challenges of having children. There was actually one time when I felt as if this marriage is not going to work,
mm,
and there were just financial issues, and we have really just seen the hand of God upon our own lives. We've seen the provision of the Lord in ways beyond our own imagination, and
Mm-hmm.
we come to this as ministers of the gospel, but we are not without our own challenges. But we have
yes,
committed that whatever happens, we are going to solve it ASAP, before the sun goes down, before the night is over. Except sometimes I fall asleep when Faith wants to talk.
Oh God.
thank you.
But
So
she's my
Sharon,
friend. She allows me
Yeah.
to sleep. But when she wakes up in the morning and I say, "Good morning, dear," and she say, "Good morning, Donovan," I know that something is wrong. Anytime my wife calls me Donovan, I know that there's something behind it.
You in a trouble.
But it's
you're in trouble.
not,
When you
not
hear your full government.
Oh,
yeah.
Lordy. So Sharon's and
Yes,
Rafi,
ma'am.
Yes.
how has your journey been? What are
Ooh.
some of your challenges? And we know you laugh a lot and so on. You're able to,
Well, that helps.
yes.
Laughter helps. And it's not cliche when somebody says marry your best friend. It's not, it's not just words speaking. It does help because you have to be in it together. You just mentioned about commitment. You have to make a commitment and work at it. You can't just, just from the average onlooker, they may say, oh, they're laughing all the time and they're happy and they're this. Yes, we are happy because we are intentional about keeping, Ralph would say, keeping the flame alive, keeping the love light burning. He always say that. So there will be challenges, and there are challenges, and love, like anything else, it has 4 seasons. A lot of people talk about, well, it's 7 year itch, and you're hot and going in the first 7 years, but after that, what happens after that? You have to have something to maintain. You have to make up your mind that whatever comes, you're gonna face it together. Of course, having God in your life makes a ton of difference, because then you have a source to look to, because we don't have all the answers, and we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do sometimes, in given situations, if it's not for prayer. But we just have to be intentional about staying the course of marriage. We know it's gonna have ups and downs. We know it's gonna come. Sometimes you get blindsided by things, but if you stick together, you're stronger together than apart. So that has been something that we have endeavored to do, no matter what. Our thing is, no matter what, we are together. We're not thinking of, oh, when we can't get through this, we can get through it. Whatever.
So, as pertaining to the black love and the root of it, and for me growing up and realizing, I was like, oh my God, when I grow up, how am I gonna manage? How am I gonna live? My mama gonna be gone, my papa gonna be gone, I'm gonna be on my home. But then here comes the scripture. God said you gotta leave and cleave. So on that note, I know I had to cleave. And here we are. So the thing is that once black people or people in general on a whole understand the significance of marriage and what it represents, then if you have that chemistry down pat, there's no way you can make it to eternity. So let me break it down a little bit. Marriage significance is representing God and the church. Christ gave his life for the church. So I gave my life for my wife. I will die for her in a minute. And if I can remember one part of my speech at my wedding, I said, I was saying, if a mosquito bite her, I go dead. If me catch it, you understand? So that is the significance of marriage. Now, back to the Bible, as my brother said, we say for richer or for poorer. Some people only hear for richer. They don't hear for poorer. Some people only hear in health and in wealth. They only hear the wealth. They don't hear about the health. For good or for better or for worse. Some people only hear seen better. They don't see worse. Now, if it's gonna work, marriage only works when you put God ahead. If God is in it, you must win it. It's got to be forever. And I remember as young people when we just started on this journey, I said to my wife here that the D word should never ever enter into our relationship. So from then we slaughtered that. That got deaded right then and there, And you got to remember that the vow what you take before man and God, you gotta honor it regardless of situations. And then I was, I read and try to be as Christ-like as what the Bible pertaining to marriages. Now, black love and the love of the world, when I look at it, I realize that most people do the D thing because they're financially secure. Oh, if I left my husband, I'm secure. I could see myself through. And there comes the selfishness when it should be selflessness. You understand? You got to serve. We come to serve. So I'm serving my wife. My wife is serving me. And we together for 40 odd years. It's like just yesterday. It's no, it's no biggie.
But it's true. A lot of people, we get asked a lot. Oh my God, it's been so long. How do you do it? How do you do it? But to us, it's like he said, it's just like it was yesterday. I still feel like I will tell my children, and the grandkids, they'll say, "Oh, Grandpa, walk fast" or whatever. And I would say, "Look, man, he was a baller. He was full of muscles. He was this." Because I still see him that way. They see him now with with graves, and they look around and they thinking. I'm like, no. And thank God for photographs. We can pull up photographs and say, look here, look. But we really have to, once you make that commitment and you're on the same page, you both have to You both have to both partners have to have the same set of values and beliefs, because if you're on, that's why there's a period of dating which they call that the spring in the seasons of love. That is the springtime.
Mm.
That is when, you're going through the newness. You're coming out, you're springing up into the love thing, and you're getting the butterflies and all of that stuff. So you have you have spring, you have summer, you have autumn, you have winter, and each season brings something else. And as we grow along in life, you never know, like with the Thomases, illness crept in. Sometimes
Yes.
it's probably trying to have children. Sometimes it's family issues. It's anything that can come at you. But as long as you have decided, this is what we're doing, and this is the scope of the relationship. We're gonna walk this line. We're putting God ahead, and we're gonna do this thing. The days and the months and the years just go by, because in our case, it just, by the time we turn around, it was 10 years. By the time we turn around,
Mm.
and then we were so young that,
Yes.
we're coming along. We're talking about teenager, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. My goodness.
Mhm.
No, we're both looking,
We're
I
running on
am
to the 60s.
60. So it's like,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah,
they said time flies when you're having fun. We're still having fun. We're still
One.
having fun.
no doubt about that.
Ciao. Welcome everyone to Saturday Morning Runnings, aired on Saturdays at 10 a.m. The Black Love Experience. My guests, Dr. Donovan and Faith Thomas. We must acknowledge those of you who are tuning in with us. So, Vero, good morning, Vero. Lady D and friends, have a nice day. Thank you. Our guy Ryan is here. He says, morning, morning. And Charles, he says, good morning, my Saturday morning family. Thank you,
Mm.
Charles. It's so nice to see you. And to those of you who are viewing via our social media platforms, that would be Facebook, um,
Yeah, to YouTube.
X, and of course on our YouTube channel, because I
Yeah.
have the other platforms that we're streaming on. So good morning to you. Now there, my girl Jax is here. And Jackie is on the other side of this scope of things here. So Jax, share a little bit about yourself and your story.
Well, I have embraced the D,
Mhm.
and it's not that I did not have the patience or, the wherewithal um, to hold on, but I saw where happiness was not going to be a forever thing there. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about family. I'm all about happiness, because I was raised in a household where I saw love. And I knew what love was. I knew what it looked like. I knew I knew it as Sister Sharnette and Brother Ralph and Donovan and Faith just described. My grandparents were Christian people. My grandfather was a pastor, and they were married for almost 50 years, and it was death that separated them. And when my grandfather died, he went first. My grandmother was more sickly, but my grandfather, who was a caregiver, he went first. And I saw that woman cried to go home to be with her husband. And tears came to my eyes when I heard her said that she wanted to go home to be with her husband, because they were married for all this time. She was married at the age of 16, and that was the only man she knew. And he was her only. So I knew what love was, and that's what I wanted for myself. I've always had a plan. When I got to 15, I knew exactly what I wanted by the time I got to 25. And I used to say, by the time I got to 25, I should have already finished school. I should have already had my husband and maybe 2 kids. And I should be buying a house. I have a house. And I used to say that because I knew I saw it, because I was looking at it through my grandparents' eyes, because that's what I saw. Doesn't matter. If I remember specifically, I was a little girl, and my grandfather used to go out and he used to go preach. He used to go all over Jamaica, and he never drove, never had a car or anything. And he went out to some prayer meeting somewhere far, and he didn't come home at the time that he should. And I remember my grandmother would not sleep. And I was a little girl, I couldn't sleep too.
Mhm.
And she
Yeah.
went to the window and she was uneasy. She was back and forth because it was one of those times that I think now that I'm older, I think she stayed back because of me, because I was a little girl, because she would have gone with him. She would not sleep. She stood at that window and she looked and she walked back and she put on she pushed the coal underneath the fire on, to make it, to keep it alive so that when he comes in, he could have something warm. And the fire go down and she go back and she blow it and she put back more water. And then when she walked back to the window, I was there. I think I was standing on the chair because I was a little girl looking over, trying to see. And she saw a flashlight just coming up the hill like that. And she opened the door quickly. Tom, because his name was Thomas. Tom. And he answered. And by this, it was like after midnight. They didn't have street lights. The place was dark. So he would walk with a tilly lamp or his flashlight. And he came in and she put her arms around him and she run in the kitchen and she got the pot and she made the tea. And Tom said, Elsie? And she was busy getting the food and everything ready for him to yell, Elsie. And he was just ready to tell her about the prayer meeting and how many lives were saved. And that was just warming to me. I grew up with that. So I expected that for myself. And I was telling God all that I wanted, and I wanted what my grandparents had. And I think that was the worst thing I did, was tell God what I wanted.
Yeah.
Like I was just limiting him, like telling him, I want the man who is like my grandfather. He's loves the Lord and he goes to church and preach, and we can pray together, we can go to church together. I did find a man that go to church. I did find a man who we could probably pray together, but it wasn't the kind of love that my grandparents had, and I couldn't live with it. It was the most insulting, disrespectful life I've ever seen. And I'm saying that with tears in my eyes because it makes me sad. So I had to take on divorce. And right now I'm single, and I don't think I don't have the feeling right now to get involved with anybody. I'm finding myself. It's been 4 years. I'm finding myself trying to rebuild my life. And, that vision that I had at 15, that by now I would finish with school and have all the things that I told you about. I'm still trying to aspire for those things because of disappointments. So for me, it's different. And I don't mind when somebody says that they're going to do a divorce, because some love is not meant to be together. Some people, they're just not meant to be together. I believe in that now.
Okay. So thank you for sharing, Jack. So Dr. Thomas, Sister Faith, how would you address something like this? Because there are many people like Jackie
Yeah,
today.
we want to just affirm Jackie and validate the feelings that she is experiencing right now. And I want to say to you, Jackie, every emotion that you feel is valid. Those are your emotions. I hear the sadness, I hear the regret, I hear the disappointment, I hear the desire to just find yourself there. And we want to just affirm you in that role. You are going through a time of grief, and we want to and be of support to you and to help you grieve in a healthy way. So there are many people who find themselves in those situations. And even as I shared at church on Sunday in the sermon, I talked about wrong way love and wrong and strong way to love. And I shared the triangle with the apex, trying to stand on its apex, and I share the triangle trying to stand on the base. And I talk about how the Greeks use four words to differentiate love. So eros is, well, let's start at the beginning. Eros is
Oh, Dr. Thomas froze.
Yeah.
Okay. But Jackie, as I just saw Andrea posted, she says, Jackie, I don't think anything is wrong in telling the Lord what you would like. We just have to listen to him in return. And she says, sorry about the disappointment. And Ryan says, no, 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 never give up on love.
It's not that I'm giving up on love, because I still think that there's love out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not be honest, if I said that there are not good people out there, and there's not a good man out there,
Right.
or there's not a good person out there, because I'm a good woman. So why would I think that there are not good people out there? I'm a good
Right.
person. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people who have met me, say that, Jackie, you're such a nice person. You should have a good man in your life, or something like that.
Thank
Even
you.
people who don't know me, and I tell them, I'm single, and I don't mind telling people, up front, that I am single. And they'll say, something must be wrong. Why you don't have a good person in your life? But I say to myself, I'm just being cautious. I'm just being a little careful of how I go about things this time, because I want it to be good. And
Yes.
I'm in school right now, and I want to finish up first before I even concentrate on anything else of such.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie, let me interject right there real quick. And we're talking about disappointment. But one thing the Lord said to me, disappointment is a stepping stone towards your success.
Right.
So, because that one didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out, God has other plans.
Yeah,
So,
I believe that.
I come to realize when you plan, and listen to me, world, people, when you plan something and it doesn't go the way you want to go, just know that God has the wheel. He has taken over the driving. So
Yeah.
don't feel bad, just enjoy the ride. Because at the end of the day, you're going to reach your destination.
Because
Yes.
I never expected that I would be one of the in that category, because I was just ready to embrace it. I was just so ready
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
embrace marriage, and
Mm.
I'm a giver, so I give my all. I give myself. I give my time. I just I give like that. Not just to my household, even my family. We're givers like that. I grew up seeing my mother giving to this day, and
Yeah.
uh, she
Yeah. But you
also she
mm-hmm.
also did not experience what I thought was great love when it comes
Mm-hmm.
on to marriage. But she stayed. I think, and it's not really a good thing to say you stay for the children. I, I,
Mm.
I
No,
don't
no. But
I
you
don't
know
think.
what? I think I'm hypothetically speaking, of course, but I'm thinking that like it's natural to examine yourself and to look and say, what did I do? Am I this? I was this. I am that. Why that? But the other person also have to look into themselves, because some people are not capable of accepting like the love that you have to give. Some people are not capable of accepting it, whether it's something in their past, whether it's just their own personal hang ups. They
Mm-hmm.
are not able to accept. They can't reciprocate. The more you give, the more pushback you get, and you wonder, why is this
Right.
happening? They tell you, I don't want to go out too far, but some people just don't, they're not able to accept. And if only, and we have to realize that each one complements the other. Ralph's strong points are not my strong points, my strong points are not his strong points. So God will so put people together who can help each other along this road called life. And we know that it's not a sprint where you just run and you catch up quick like bull. This thing is a marathon. You know what I mean? It's
But
like
we
you're doing
also,
cross country.
if I may also say, we as people, as especially Christian people, we also have to recognize that sometimes we do need help. And
Yes,
God made physicians, and if there's a need for a physician, I think we should go seek help. It doesn't
yes,
necessarily have to be in terms of a physical need. It could also be a mental need.
right.
And we also have to be open enough to recognize that and recognize when we do need someone. And it might just be just to talk to someone and express
Yeah, yeah.
hurt, because
Let's call
we
it,
say
Jackie. A lot of people need
hurt
therapy.
people,
Yeah,
hurt people, hurt
yeah.
people, hurt people.
Hurt people.
And
And
Yeah,
you
and
have to know when you're holding on to hurt. And that's why I myself have been hurt, and I wouldn't want to hurt somebody else. So I
Mhm.
am,
Very good, girl.
finding therapy in the meantime. So
Yes.
when that person comes, it will not be a situation repeated.
If I
Let me
may, if I
let
may,
me
just
encourage you. Let me encourage you, Jackie, real quick. Remember the word? We have to live the word. And the word said, when mother forsake you and papa forsake you, then the Lord will
the Lord
take
will
you up.
take you up.
So when the word forsake you, your husband forsake you, just cling closer in the presence of the Lord. He never leave you. He never forsakes you. When my wife sometimes gets so busy with taking care of this and taking care of that. And whenever she's on the run, like running like a chicken without head, yeah, doing this, doing that, and doing what, you know what I do? I tell her, less time with her is more time with the Lord. So the less time me get to love her and serve her and be there, I just wrap up my presence right at the foot of the throne of the Lord. Just hug up the Lord on the foot in my presence and stay right there.
So, if I may, because I want to also ask Dr. Thomas and Sister Faith, but it's just yesterday I saw a clip of a video, not a clip, it's a video of this gentleman. He hosts a platform where he interviews couples and so on. But he himself is now on this journey of seeking a wife. He was married before and he had step cheated on his wife. But as he was talking to his guests, they said, "So if you had such a good wife, why did you cheat?" And he honestly said that for everything she would say to him, though it was for his good, he felt as though she was opposing everything he would suggest or recommend. But usually he says she was just gifted that way. So she would say, so why not look at it in this way? Because if you look at it in that way, this might just be the result. So he felt at all times his input was not received. She wasn't affirming him, which she was, but he was not in that mental space at the time to receive it. And he felt as though she was overriding him and she became, you know, a little too much for him to handle. So but now
mhm.
he looks back and he says, my God, had I stayed with her, I would have been the better for it.
you
That's why
know,
you call running away from good. You have some people that run away from good instead of looking at the relationship as if it's a partnership. Now, like I just said, Ralph is
Exactly.
stronger in some areas than me. So you have to look at it as a partnership. If you look at it like you're in competition,
Competition,
Exactly.
yes.
yeah,
Exactly.
if you're in competition, then you know you're not where you ought to be, in your headspace, because it's not a competition. You should look at the other person and value. Everybody
What they
always say,
have.
"What are you bringing to the table?" Value what they're bringing to the table and say, "Okay, then." I am good this way, but I need help that way. Are you getting free help? Sometimes you have another partner who is a professional,
Yes,
in whatever, and the other one is running away from it. You're getting free advice,
exactly.
loving advice, but yet and
Mhm.
still you resist. You're just
Exactly.
running
You
away
feel,
from good.
yeah. Yeah, and
I,
I've experienced that.
Yes, Sister Faith.
yes, I think at the root of it, sometimes it is unmet expectations, as Jackie was talking about earlier. But even beyond that, it is we have to resolve our baggage. We have to deal with our baggage
Yeah.
before we get married. And that's why one of the things that we strongly suggest is premarital counseling. We did premarital counseling before we got married. And therefore that was able to stave off some of the blind spots that we would not have known how to deal with. And when we do premarital counseling with couples, one of the things we talk about is getting past the past. And if you find that in your past there are issues that you had and they're unresolved, then you are likely to attract somebody who also has issues. So so you see, hurting people hurt others, but hurting people also attract hurting people. So it works out that way.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very important to resolve it. So I'm glad that, Jackie says she's in therapy now, because when she's able to work through the issues that led to that situation, she's also able to prepare herself, heal the woundedness so that she can attract somebody who is healed or on that journey like her in healing. The
Yeah.
other thing is that with this semantic spoke, many times we attract our opposite parent, not necessarily like the female attracting the father type, but
Mm-hmm.
our opposite parent,
Change of
whoever it is that
personality.
we have more difficulty coping
Problem
with
parent.
in terms of our problem parent. We
Mm-hmm.
attract that kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're having unresolved issues with your mother or your father, and you end up in a relationship with somebody who has a lot of these kinds of qualities, personality, you know, if they're unresolved, then it is going to lead to fireworks.
Yes.
And so it is important to resolve these things. If you hate your father and I hate my father, he's this, he's that, and you attract somebody who doesn't look like him, you might find that that kind of behavior comes to the surface at some point
Mm-hmm.
Can I
between.
also, I might be a little controversial, saying what I'm going to say. I don't know. But I think also the church should not, insist that people get married right away. There are some people, some churches that do that. Um, if they find out that somebody is dating or they have an attraction, they insist that they should get married right away, because if people find out, then, because I think that time is needed to get to know somebody,
Yes,
because there are some things that you may see before that marriage that will preempt you that this should not be,
yes,
this marriage should not take place, or
yes,
this union should not, you should not move forward with it. And if I may say, I think I did see some of those signs. And I said, God is in this, and I'm praying about it, and whatever. And if everything was not in motion already, the Jackie that was out there in the world would just walk away. But I
Mm-hmm.
was back in the church. So I stuck with it. I stuck with something that I knew was not going to work,
Jackie, we
because the
want to
church
just
said you have to try, you have to pray to the Lord that this is gonna. But I saw it, I felt it.
yeah,
But if it was a Jackie who was like out in the world before that, that even on that day I would just walk.
yeah,
I think I made better decisions then
right.
than when I was in the church. And I
So
might be controversial for saying that,
yeah,
because church or people in the church, it's saying that, this is a marriage and it has to work and the Lord, it's whatever. But yeah, but if the other party is not in unison with what your mind as to what it should be, or what the Bible said it should be, what the word said, what my grandparents had, if that person is not in unison with you, it's not going to work.
agreed.
Yeah,
I
it can't be one-sided.
No.
You can want it as much as you want it. You can pray for it as
Yeah.
much as, but it takes the other party, because it's the two of you that are in there. It's the two of you that are in there, and it's not. it can't be successful just being one-sided. It can't. Because if you're building on this side and the other person is breaking down on the other side, or if you're rowing and the other person is poking holes, then you
Yeah.
can't get anywhere. So it can't be one-sided,
Mhm.
and
So
Yes,
one
yeah.
of
Sister
the things
Faith.
that we really don't want, and you are not controversial when you said the church shouldn't just force you to just get married quickly. It is important to get to know the person.
Yeah.
And getting to know the person is not just being together with both of you all the time. It is getting to know how they relate to their family, how they relate to other persons in your circle. Because when you see those things, those are the red flags. And therefore, when you see
How
the
you
red
relate to your
with their
children that's not
children,
theirs. You know how that interaction it is. It's also important. If you have
yes,
children before that
right,
union, you know
right.
how they're perceived and how they perceive your children and how they receive them and vice versa. So all of that is
All
taken into
of that. All
consideration.
of that. And
Yeah.
I'm going to be controversial now. I don't think you are controversial, but I'm going to be controversial, biblically controversial.
Sorry.
Thing about sex before marriage. What sex does is it binds, it's a binding agent. And
Mhm.
so when you have sex before marriage, what it does is you are binding to the person, but you are not seeing the person's faults. And
Mhm.
so you see what you don't see it. You know,
Mhm.
and you
True.
think that boy, the sex so good that sure, I think we can do this. We can do this. And
Mhm.
so many times persons have sex before marriage and they are blinded. That is what blinds you.
Right.
But when you get married now and the sex is okay to have, it's like the scales are removed from your eyes. And
Right.
you're beginning to say, oh my God, what is this? What is this that I have? This is not what I wanted. You know, so sometimes those kinds of situations happen. So when God said don't have sex before marriage, it's not because he was a fun killer.
Mhm.
It's because he understands what sex does. So after marriage, sex is what cements you
After the wedding, during marriage.
after you get married. Okay? Sex
Mhm.
cements you properly. But before, what it does, it cements you with sand. Okay? Sand, which is destructive. You know, cement and sand,
Yes. Mhm.
Oh
sand
yeah.
which is destructive. And
Mhm.
so that is one of the things that we want to say to young people too and to persons in general. Do what God instructs. Put in the self-control. And so that is my controversial, biblical
Yeah.
controversial bit.
Let me just also add that it is important for us to go through the phase of unmasking.
Mhm.
Because many times we fall in love with masks. We see somebody and we are at our best because we want to impress. And when you get married, you realize, oh, the person who I thought existed really does not exist. They
Right.
doesn't exist. And so we marry a mask, female mask,
Yes.
marry a
A
male
male
mask.
Male
mask.
mask.
And when the
Mhm.
unmasking takes place, they say, I didn't bargain for you. And that's one of the
Mhm.
things we
True.
learned from way back in our premarital counseling. So again,
True.
we
So it show you
we
true colors
reiterate
from
the importance of for
yes.
premarital counseling.
Mhm.
One other
Mhm.
thing I want to speak to is that advice giving is not always good,
Mhm.
True.
not even in the context of marriage. Sometimes the spouse just wanted to listen and to acknowledge. So don't be so active in saying, how am I going to respond? How am I going to advise him out of this? Sometimes he has the advice in himself and he wants to just share with you what he's excited about and what are his thoughts. So we have to think through things for ourselves
Mhm.
and be careful of how we are quick to give advice. It may be that just
Yes.
reflecting emotions, reflecting content of what the person he says will take the person to where he or she needs to go, and we don't want to go advising people and then they act upon our advice and our advice these people as so be
These
cautious
people
of
is true.
giving and receiving.
Yes.
So be careful.
Yes.
And this thing about God spoke to me and say, I am to get married to you, just
Mhm.
make,
Hmm.
make sure to let them know that You ain't got nothing of malice. All right, that's like I understand that my mother-in-law, when this man came to her and said, God say you're going to be my wife, she just say, God and I nothing in malice, and God has not said that to me. Just test it for yourselves.
Right.
And not because church, and I'm taking to the next one, not because pastor say you forget married to
Oh,
this person that you should, because
Yeah.
it's not you and pastor going to live, or pastor and that person going to
thank
live.
you.
And
Thank you.
and in court, it is okay, even when you're going through premarital counseling, to hear the words. There are three things that you can hear. Go ahead. No, it is not good for both of you to get married. And we don't want to do that. So many times people set their wedding dates and then come to premarital counseling. You just want a sanction. But it is possible. What we want to encourage people to do is to come to premarital counseling with we are thinking of getting married. Let's work through this to be able to see if there are
Yes.
things that can strengthen us or say to us, no, we shouldn't get married. So it is no, yes, or wait. It's not time yet.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We
And
Yes.
and
also,
and,
Speaking
and,
of,
as, and as I touch on that, Rev, when it comes to that equation, remember now it's two hearts becoming one. It's two different characteristics trying to become one. Two different persons with two different personalities have to understand each other so you can work and function as one.
it is God's
So I
method.
remember when before we got married, our pastor said, you gotta learn to give a little and receive a little. You have to give and take. It's a give and take situation. Now, Jackie, let me address according to what Reverend said. You are a baker, you make good cake, girl. You understand? So in that case, the cake making is getting to know the person, the unmasking. That's the cake person. The sex part is the icing on the cake that makes it tops.
All right now.
You understand?
All right.
So I remember as a youth, when with my wife, I was like, okay, if me I gonna have sex now, me nah go against the law. Me I gonna have it legal. So that was one of my main intention. But at the same time, I know the significance of marriage. Understand? And I said to my wife, okay, this is us right here, and this is the problem. Let me break it down. This is the problem right here, and the problem now come between we. It have to stop yourself. You understand? The problem can't come early. Teenage, we just start.
Yeah,
We just
yeah.
start. I said it to her. I said, this gonna be us, and
He
this gonna be the problem,
he's
and this
an
is where
old soul. Old
the
soul.
problem going to stop.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Now come between we separate. We no,
Yeah.
it's not gonna
yeah,
happen.
I totally agree. And I absolutely believe that I believe in the don't let the sun go down with your grouses, because I used to see that in my grandparents, and they used to just talk about those things. So I had all that coming in. But when, just a little thing may happen, and you get in your marital bed, and all you get is somebody's back.
Mhm.
That breaks your heart, because that's not what I know marriage, to be. But if I could also uh, mention something else as we talk about black love. Another thing that I really notice is the materialistic love that's being embraced in our black culture. If you don't have on the fake body, and if you don't do up your body, and my if I don't even I didn't even want to touch this part, but I was told that I had racks, but I didn't have enough butt.
Eh,
I was
Well,
told that. I said, how much more do I need? And I think why
that
women
is
are going out the
scary.
way to cut their bodies up in these, sculptured, doll looking,
Hmm.
what do you call it, figures, is
Yeah, that's
because our
shallow.
own black men
Yeah, that's
desire that.
shallow.
And it
yeah.
doesn't matter if they're in the church or not.
And,
They
and, and,
desire
and,
that, and they're looking for the women to do that. And if you're not doing that, then it could cause some kind of rift in your marriage, and they could also step out to go find it. So
well, well,
we have to look at
basically,
that too.
Jack, if that's what they're looking for, they're not looking for a serious marriage. You
No,
got to take me as I am.
no,
The
no.
answer to when I met my wife had wire waist. If you know what me I talk about, you understand? And after kids and all of that, and what that, I'm gonna say, baby, if you even get fat like a mullet, me still I love you. You
But that's what
understand?
you have to.
So
That's what you have, because
that's
people are
why
not going to stay
it's
the
got to be
same way.
unconditional.
They're not
It
going to
has to
stay
be
the same way.
unconditional love.
You have to
Yeah.
remember that them
but,
also
but
gonna gray. They're gonna gray. Things gonna sag. The breast
Yeah.
might become pendulums, and you know
Yeah.
all of those little things go on. But so it's all a part of natural aging, and it's all a part of life. And if you love the person, which is the being inside of that person, you
Right.
love
Right.
whatever else
Right.
comes with it.
that just
We
takes
just
me
interject
right
right
back
there, so
to
because
where
it
we
a
got
run through my
off.
mind. Ephesians a
One,
run through my
one.
mind. Love no buck up, love no covetous, and love no anxious. Love
All right.
serious, love well malicious. So see it, yeah.
I know.
Yes,
Yeah.
Dr. Thomas. Thank you, Ralphie.
Yeah, I was
Yes,
saying
Dr.
that
Thomas.
just takes me right back to where we were when we got cut off. That says we have to make sure that the foundation is right, that we deal with the agape that build the base,
Oh
Yes.
and
yes, you were talking about
the,
yes.
the filial, filio, and then the eros, that we build
Mhm.
in a way that a
Yeah.
broad base rather than
Right.
build upside down. That is easy to
Yes.
Yeah.
knock over. Upside down love is the wrong way, and the strong way is really with the agape at the base. So
Mhm.
as we go through life, let's mellow in the way God's desire for us to love each
Yes.
other. So the shortened
Mhm.
version of what I was going to say in the interest of time.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely,
The Black Love Experience. I hope those of you
absolutely.
who are
It's
watching are taking notes, because no matter how many years, I believe people, and I mean, I have lived with people who have been married in my family. You pay attention to the dynamic, their preferences, what their triggers are. So over the years, I have, paid attention and realized that it takes a concerted effort to be able
Mhm.
to be still and listen. Because I think instinctively, when there is a conversation happening, we will speak over each other because we want our point to be heard, but we are not listening to the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So the communication line is so crossed and messed up, because as you're talking, I'm taking your information, but only for a rebuttal, not for it to just settle with me. And I say, all right, let me hear what you're really saying. Let me be patient for a moment. Human beings, we not do that. We're ready to give our input. And a lot of times I think we miss what we really need to hear. So if something else happens, the first thing we say, and the last time when we did a talk, right? We pick up
Yeah.
something that happened a month ago,
Right. And
all,
that's not good.
and that's not good, all
Mm-mm.
because we didn't spend the time to listen and then hash it out right there and then. Because some people are runners.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There are some different ways that persons respond in conflict that either pull them together or take them apart. So if you're a fighter, if you're always fighting it out and you're saying all kind of negative words that hurt each other, that hurts the relationship and it pulls you apart. But also, if on the converse you are withdraw, you are somebody who withdraws, you don't get into talk it through, you get vexed, and you just manage the person for days and weeks and so on and so forth. Those things also fight against the marriage. So what we and we don't so we don't want a fighter, we don't want somebody who withdraws. Then there are some persons who give in all the time. And if you are the person who is always saying yes all the time, changing all the time, and all of that, resentment is going to build up.
Right.
What we want is for us to talk it through. It takes longer, but
yeah,
we need to listen to each other, make sure that we understand what the other person is saying before the rebuttal.
Mhm.
If there is ever going to be a rebuttal, at least understand what the
yes,
person is saying, and don't use things like always. You always do that. You always do that. And as Lady was D was saying, you drench up things from the past and you attack the person with it, or you try to deal with 4 or 5 issues one time. No, you have an issue, face that issue, talk through that issue, work through that issue, and use I statements where you say how I am feeling because of XYZ, rather than you statement which say you do
Which
this and
attacks.
you do that. Attacks, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
communication and conflict resolution is very important. We work towards the win-win, not the win-lose, the win-win, so that both of us are on the same plane. And
Yes.
forgiveness is key in any kind of relationship, especially marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe don't brush things under the rug, because
Oh
the more you
no.
do, I just look at it as something that will fester. It's just like
Mhm.
a wound, it stays there and it festers, and then when it bursts out, it's not pretty.
Mhm.
So I think, like you said, deal with it whenever it happens, and deal with the issue itself. And that was my forte, to try to deal with the issue at hand and not go back to things, but it always work in the reverse. So that's what, like I said, I don't want a repeat.
Attack
So
the problem,
yeah,
not the person.
Yeah.
not the
Both of
person.
you attack the problem.
Yes.
Lady D,
Yes.
tomorrow we're going to be interviewing a couple that is married to each other twice, that got married to each other twice.
Ah.
Mhm.
And that's going to be quite an interesting story.
Yes.
You know, Jackie, sometimes these people found that, you know, there are things that they were missing out on, and they realized the error of their ways, and the wife just kept on saying, you know, God said my husband is gonna come up, my husband, and even though he got married to somebody else, they
Oh
didn't put
wow.
this in that context, and he got married to her again.
Yes.
Oh my.
And I saw a similar thing just
That's a
yesterday, I
lot.
think on NBC.
Yeah, we'll
I
make
thought
sure we give it a link.
on Friday. No, on Thursday. I
Yeah.
saw a feature on NBC, the same thing. The couple, they were married, and then years later they divorced, and then they come back together. It's been
Wow.
20 something years since they met again.
So
So,
Woo.
if you want, you can send out the information for us too.
yeah, sure.
Oh wow.
Will do. It's 20 minutes after 11 o'clock. We're wrapping up. So in 10 minutes. But, sometimes when we have these open forums and there are people who are watching, there are many people who don't like to share their experiences. They bottle them up. In fact, I believe we are from a culture, since we're all Jamaicans right here on this platform,
Mhm.
that, many people were told you're not to talk, you should keep quiet. Not let
Mhm.
nobody know. And so, even in whether it's family relationships or in a marital relationship, people just endured in such pain under the quiet. And then your children never even heard a slight little disagreement or anything, but they would observe that mama is always either very sad, or they may have observed that when Papa talked to Mama, she literally quail, like she just pull into herself because
Mhm.
she can't retort nothing.
Right.
So they would see those signs, but they really didn't know what they were, what they meant. So people don't like to talk, but there are people who, over time, when you build relationships, the people who are most confidential, who you can confide in, or there are so many people studying about counseling and psychology and all those things that you can talk to. And it's not in back in the day when churches did not have a lot of professional people who were going off to study. So the only recourse, which is thank God for it, was prayer. But we do know that we need more than that.
Mhm.
So I think that we should capitalize on what we have. God gave us wisdom to go learn about the human anatomy, so we can tell you if something in there that need to come out that you can see on the outside. It's the same way that people should, if you love somebody and you want to preserve that, why not seek help rather than saying no, nobody now gonna know we business. So nobody try carry go on out there.
And that's
Sorry.
Yeah,
indeed
Very
yeah,
true.
that's a
yeah,
blessing indeed.
yeah. And then when you raise children under that sort of situation, they will normalize certain behaviors that are not really to be normalized, and it unfortunately that it will go off in when they come to maturity and they find a mate of
Mate.
their own. It carries on, they perpetuate the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
although it's abnormal, like, because that's what they saw.
And one thing I try to identify real quickly is negative energy and where it's coming from. I try to keep our marriage and our life positive, because if the word says God is of joy and peace and love, it's not of being unhappy and miserable and all of that. So if we know that the enemy is going to fight against every relationship, whether it's marriage or not, because he just want to sit on the side fence and know him break it up and laugh. Now, one of the main way we could stay, marriage could stay part of our friendship or any kind of relationship, is to eliminate negativity. And the negativity is one of the tools the enemy use to get in between your marriage or your love life or your relationships, whether it be mother, father, sister, brother, whatever, any kind of relationships. He promotes negative energy. So one of the things I realized, I start have my antenna up to recognize negative energy and shut it down as it come up. There are several times I have seen some stuff that the enemy tools that the enemy is like. You see when you expect the fiery darts and you have on the breastplate of righteousness, the enemy can't touch you. And you have to do that. And one of the ways of doing that is recognizing negative energy, because that's what the enemy feeds off. And that's how the author of
Confusion.
confusion operates, right? And once him can't stick a little toe in and get you confused, him come in your head and tell him, say, say your wife I see that man run it, or say your wife I do this, and say your man I do that. That's negative energy is pushing. And say not like that now go on, but he push that energy for you go jump off on your people them and get suspicious, and then one thing lead to another, and the author of the confusion start. So be careful, people, of negative energy in any kind of relationship. Have your antenna out for it and shut it down as it raise its ugly head. Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
One thing we
You
also
got
have
it.
to remember, it's not what we say sometimes, but how we say it
You do it.
to our partners.
Mhm.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
be mindful of
Mm-hmm.
the words that we use. And like Brother Ralph mentioned, the negative connotations that some words that
Yeah.
are attached to some
Yeah,
words, because
Mhm.
it sometimes it cuts deeper than a
yeah.
knife. Just the
It
words
thorough
that we
anger.
use.
Yeah. And we really have to practice that in our uh, family and with our friends, to be that kind of healing kind of a person, before we get into that one and only, because it is preparation for life. The way we deal with family, the way we deal with friends, preparation for how we deal with our spouse. I don't think that we're going to be critical and harsh and inconsiderate in our other relationship. And when you get married, all of a sudden there's going to be a
Yeah.
switch. So
Yeah.
practice to live with other people. If you're not able to resolve conflicts in your family, it's unlikely you're going to be able to, your family of origin, it's unlikely you're going to be able to resolve conflict with your wife or with your husband or with your own family. If you're not caring and giving at home with your family, and then you're not going to be when you get into with that kind of person. So practice those kind of character traits, characteristics. Practice those principles in your own life that you want to see carry over into marital relationship from
Mhm.
now. Prepare yourself, if you're not married yet, to be the best possible spouse that you can be.
Yeah, you treat people the way you want to be treated, you know?
Yes, yes. Boy, I tell you, food for thought here. So this morning I'm looking at the plate.
Enjoy it.
I have
Enjoy
to go,
it.
I have to go freeze some. I can't eat it all off one time. But yes, the Black Love experience. And I'm hoping that those of us who are here this morning, will really think about how we communicate with each other.
Would you yourself consider marriage, Lady D?
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Let's pray, people.
Of course. You know what? We have to be careful that we don't let one bad relationship spoil us. And we say, as they would say, you take this one fat to fry the other,
Yeah.
Right.
You
But on
just
the other hand,
gotta
we
keep.
also want the Lady D and all the other singles to know that we're not pressuring you.
No, not at all.
No
We're not
pressure.
trying the same thing that we're talking again. Don't pressure people to get married. Not
No.
because
Right.
they reach at a certain age and what happened here, we don't say that, be careful, don't pressure people into just forming relationships
Well,
without
hey,
the foundation.
Right.
if that were the case for me, maybe I'd have been in bigamy by now.
Yes. I'm saying not just for you, but for those other people out there.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Thomas and Sister Faith, for joining us.
I love
Very
this. The time just
enlightening.
went so quickly because
Yes.
it was like a beautiful conversation.
Very
I'm
enlightening.
glad we're
And
having fun.
yes, we just
Yeah.
we just flowed with each other, and that's amazing. And just to remind people that we just need to listen. Maybe we never used to listen. We can start listen now. Just listen, because when you don't listen, you miss what the person is really trying to say to you.
Yes.
And even if it means repeating it 50 times over so that it resonates. Because, we all argumentative and won't have we last word.
Yeah. Literally,
Yeah.
let me share with you a little bit here.
Yes.
Listen with your ears, with your eyes, and with your heart.
All right.
There you
And
go.
as the word says, quick to listen, slow to speak.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Every day it's a new
You
experience.
see what I have dealing with over here?
All that words of wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So he pulls your back, Sherns.
Oh yeah. He's the cooling water, so.
Yes.
Hot of fire.
And we need a cooling water because both of us can be firing.
Exactly.
No,
They want to burn down.
Sometimes you have fire and I have the cooling water, but the fire is so strong that the water no stop boil up. So
Oh wow.
That's
we
all
have
right.
that too. We have that too.
That's all right. We see him after a while.
It's like water not enough to cook out that fire.
Yes.
You have to write.
Oh boy. Yeah, I know.
Yes.
So thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks, Dr. Thomas, Sister Faith. See you tomorrow morning. And everybody, we just want to bless you up. Those who came in because work schedule, etc. You can always go back and watch it on the channel Inside the Zone with Lady D. So it now go drop off nowhere. You're gonna say, Lord, we miss out the first part.
Right.
Yeah. I speak English though, so not to worry. You'll be able to watch it at the end of the show. So thank you, everybody. Blessings. So on my radio show, whenever I'm winding down, I usually say to them that me did so walk boat one time. Gone over Miss Linny, me round a back road. And when them find me, they say, go on up. Galang up. Go up.
Yeah.
So we are going to go up now.
Yes.
So blessings, everybody. Enjoy
Blessings.
the rest of your
Having us.
Have a great day, everyone.
Enjoy the
Bye
rest
now.
of your weekend.
Be
Bye.
blessed.
Cooling water.
Be blessed. Be blessed.
All right.
I'm Lady D Denise Gomez, and I have exciting interview segments and features inside the zone. For recording artists, you can sing. Well, Inside the Zone, second Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. is for you. Writers, share your story, no man, in From the Author's Zone on third Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Male Zone has unbelievably juicy stories of love, heartbreak, and triumph. 7 p.m. has never been this good. On Mondays, it's news, talk, engaging features at 7 in the Monday Drive. And Center Stage has everyone talking on Thursdays. Be a part of the show. Email me insidethezone@gmail.com or call me 914-304-2592. For 2 days, the 5 o'clock hour is hot on Fit FM 96.7, www.fitfmja.com. Your life, your music with Lady D Denise Gomez inside the zone. Catch me on Monday at 5 p.m. for the Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. And on Friday, yes, at 5 p.m. for Center Stage, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. From abroad to yard, Trelawney. Love, sacrifice, respect, commitment, divorce, and reconciliation are all a part of the Black love experience. This week, we focus on couples who have been married for many years, endured immeasurable challenges, and chose to stay committed to their vows and each other, while others throw in the towel at the drop of a hat. Join us as we discuss the Black love experience. Our guests are Dr. Donovan and Faith Thomas of Choose Life International. As Satideh Mawnin runnings, come make we talk.